Pets during Aliyah represent the delightful challenge of convincing Israeli government officials that your beloved family dog or cat deserves international immigration status, rivaling most diplomatic personnel, while simultaneously navigating regulatory procedures that suggest pet relocation requires more documentation than adopting human children and involves bureaucratic complexity that would challenge most international treaty negotiations conducted by professional diplomats with advanced degrees in bureaucratic interpretation and supernatural patience for administrative absurdity. This magnificent adventure in interspecies immigration involves explaining to various government agencies across multiple countries that yes, your pet genuinely requires international relocation rather than representing elaborate animal smuggling operations disguised as family relocation, while completing paperwork that apparently assumes all pet owners possess veterinary degrees, international shipping expertise, and psychological resilience for managing bureaucratic procedures that test human sanity beyond most therapeutic intervention capabilities. Israeli Pet Import Regulations, Animal Diplomatic Protocol Comedy. Israeli pet immigration regulations operate according to administrative principles that suggest importing beloved family pets requires security clearance levels typically reserved for international weapons trafficking prevention, where government veterinary authorities treat pet import applications with suspicion, typically reserved for elaborate biological warfare schemes involving innocent-appearing household animals carrying secret infectious disease payloads. Eligible animal classifications involve species identification procedures that apparently require zoological expertise for determining whether your family dog qualifies as dog, rather than some exotic wolf hybrid requiring different regulatory procedures, while breed identification involves genetic analysis that would challenge most professional veterinary taxonomists with specialized training in international breed recognition and supernatural animal classification abilities. Import permits require advanced applications involving detailed questionnaires about pet biography, family relationships, intended residence, and possibly psychological evaluation of both pets and owners to determine suitability for Israeli integration through assessment procedures that exceed most human immigration interview complexity and require character references from veterinarians who can vouch for pet mental stability. Microchip identification requirements involve implanting tracking devices that apparently enable government pet surveillance more sophisticated than most criminal monitoring systems, while microchip technical specifications involve understanding electronic identification technology that would challenge most computer programmers with advanced degrees in embedded systems, design, and supernatural technical documentation comprehension abilities. Health certificate documentation requires veterinary attestation to pet health status through medical examinations more comprehensive than most human physical examinations, while government veterinary validation involves official stamp and signature procedures that suggest pet health certificates require authentication levels typically reserved for international diplomatic correspondence and classified document verification. Import timing coordination involves scheduling that assumes pet transportation can be coordinated with government processing schedules, family relocation timing, and seasonal regulatory requirements through timeline management that would challenge most professional project coordination specialists with supernatural prediction abilities for bureaucratic processing efficiency and administrative scheduling reliability. Veterinary health requirements, medical bureaucracy for furry patients. Veterinary preparation for pet immigration involves medical procedures and documentation that suggest pets require healthcare more comprehensive than most human international travel medical preparation, while veterinary professionals maintain optimistic attitudes about regulatory compliance despite dealing with requirements that apparently change more frequently than governmental administration policies and exceed most medical school curriculum coverage. Vaccination scheduling involves immunization timing coordination that requires understanding veterinary immunology, government regulatory schedules, and international transportation timing through medical planning that would challenge most professional healthcare coordination specialists while ensuring pet immunity levels satisfy regulatory requirements that apparently exceed most human vaccination standards for international travel. Blood testing for rabies antibodies involves laboratory analysis procedures that require understanding serology, laboratory timing, and results interpretation through medical testing that costs more than most human medical examinations while providing scientific evidence of pet immunity levels through laboratory procedures that exceed most veterinary diagnostic routine testing complexity and accuracy requirements. Comprehensive health examinations involve veterinary assessment procedures that document pet physical condition, mental health status, and fitness for international travel through medical evaluation that apparently requires veterinary expertise exceeding most routine pet health care while providing official health certification that satisfies government regulatory requirements for pet travel authorization and health status verification. Parasite treatment documentation requires proof of medical treatment for conditions that apparently pose international security risks involving medication administration and treatment verification through veterinary record keeping that exceeds most human medical record requirements while demonstrating compliance with parasite prevention protocols that suggest pets represent potential biological hazard transport systems. Veterinary record compilation involves organizing medical histories with detail levels that would challenge most professional medical record management systems, requiring documentation chronology, treatment verification, and health status certification through record organization that exceeds most human medical history documentation and requires professional veterinary validation that apparently assumes pet medical fraud represents significant governmental concern. Special health consideration procedures for elderly pets, pregnant animals, or pets with chronic conditions involve additional veterinary assessment and documentation that apparently requires geriatric veterinary expertise, reproductive health specialization, and chronic disease management that exceeds most routine veterinary practice while satisfying regulatory requirements that assume pet health complications could pose national security risks. Transportation arrangements, animal airlines adventure. Pet transportation to Israel involves logistics coordination that would challenge most professional shipping companies, while airlines treat pet transport like hazardous materials requiring specialized handling procedures, climate control systems, and possibly diplomatic escort services for ensuring animal welfare during international transportation that apparently involves risks comparable to transporting explosive materials or radioactive substances. Professional pet transport services specialize in animal relocation through expertise that apparently requires advanced degrees in veterinary medicine, international transportation law, and possibly animal psychology for ensuring successful pet transportation through procedures that cost more than most human international travel while providing services that suggest pets require luxury travel accommodations exceeding most human passenger comfort standards. Airline pet transportation policies involve regulations that apparently assume pets represent flight safety risks requiring containment procedures, documentation verification, and handling protocols that exceed most passenger safety requirements, while airline pet cargo services provide climate-controlled transportation environments more sophisticated than most human passenger cabin environmental systems and comfort amenities. Transportation container specifications involve purchasing pet carriers that meet international transportation standards through design requirements that apparently assume pets require protective equipment comparable to space travel, while container size calculations involve mathematical formulas that would challenge most engineering specifications and require understanding three-dimensional geometry for optimal pet comfort during extended transportation periods. Pre-transportation veterinary assessment involves medical clearance for travel fitness through health evaluation that apparently requires understanding aviation medicine, transportation stress physiology, and possibly animal psychology for determining pet suitability for international air travel through medical assessment that exceeds most human pre-flight health screening requirements. Transportation timing coordination requires scheduling that assumes pet shipping can be coordinated with airline schedules, weather conditions, customs processing, and family travel plans through logistics planning that would challenge most professional transportation coordination specialists while accounting for variables that include seasonal weather patterns, airline operational schedules, and government processing efficiency rates. International shipping insurance coverage protects against transportation risks, including loss, injury, delay, or possibly pet emotional trauma during transportation through insurance policies that cost more than most human travel insurance, while providing coverage for scenarios that apparently include pet psychological distress and temporary accommodation expenses during transportation delays. Quarantine procedures, pet prison experience. Israeli quarantine facilities provide animal accommodation that resembles luxury pet hotels, combined with medical research facilities, where imported pets receive professional care while undergoing disease monitoring through containment procedures that apparently assume all international pets represent potential biological weapons requiring secure isolation and medical surveillance exceeding most hospital infection control protocols. Quarantine duration calculations involve disease risk assessment and regulatory compliance that apparently requires understanding epidemiology, veterinary medicine, and possibly international security protocols for determining appropriate isolation periods through scientific analysis that would challenge most public health professionals while ensuring pet disease monitoring that exceeds most human infectious disease surveillance procedures. Quarantine facility accommodations provide pet housing with climate control, exercise areas, and medical monitoring through animal care services that cost more than most human hotel accommodations, while providing amenities that suggest quarantined pets receive luxury accommodation exceeding most human temporary housing comfort levels and service standards. Quarantine visitation policies allow family contact under controlled conditions that apparently require understanding infectious disease prevention, facility security procedures, and possibly diplomatic protocol for coordinating family visits through access procedures that involve more security screening than most governmental facility visitation, while maintaining quarantine integrity and disease prevention effectiveness. Quarantine cost calculations involve daily facility charges, veterinary care, specialized feeding, and administrative fees through pricing structures that suggest quarantined pets require care costs comparable to human hospitalization, while receiving services that apparently exceed most veterinary clinic care quality and include amenities that would challenge most luxury pet care facility service standards. Quarantine release procedures involve final health assessment, administrative processing, and transportation coordination through completion requirements that apparently assume quarantine graduation represents significant governmental achievement while requiring final documentation that exceeds most academic degree completion requirements and involves celebration appropriate to successful diplomatic negotiation completion. Emergency quarantine procedures address potential health crises or behavioral problems during isolation through crisis management protocols that apparently assume quarantine complications could affect national security while requiring veterinary intervention capabilities and emergency response procedures that exceed most medical emergency response systems and animal behavior crisis management training. Cost considerations: pet immigration financial shock therapy. Pet immigration financial planning involves budget calculations that suggest bringing beloved animals to Israel should cost equivalent to purchasing luxury automobiles or funding extended family vacations to exotic destinations, while veterinary preparation expenses exceed most human medical care costs and require financial planning typically reserved for major household investments or educational expenses. Veterinary preparation costs include comprehensive health examinations, specialized testing, vaccination updates, and documentation fees through medical expenses that exceed most human international travel health preparation, while requiring multiple veterinary visits over extended periods that compete with normal household budgeting for discretionary expenses and require prioritization decisions affecting family financial management. Transportation expense calculations involve airline cargo fees, professional shipping services, insurance coverage, and container purchases through cost structures that suggest pets require transportation, luxury exceeding most human travel comfort while involving expenses that approach annual household vacation budgets and require financial planning that challenges most family discretionary spending allocation. Import fees and regulatory costs include permit applications, customs processing, quarantine facility charges, and administrative fees through governmental pricing that apparently assumes pet immigration represents luxury lifestyle choices rather than family necessity, while requiring fee payments that exceed most governmental service charges and approach educational expense or healthcare cost levels. Insurance coverage options protect against transportation delays, health complications, and quarantine extensions through premium structures that suggest pet insurance during immigration represents high-risk activities comparable to extreme sports participation or hazardous occupation coverage, while providing protection against scenarios that apparently include pet emotional distress and temporary accommodation cost coverage. Emergency expense preparation should account for potential additional costs, including extended quarantine, unexpected medical treatment, transportation delays, and regulatory complications through contingency budgeting that assumes pet immigration will definitely involve complications requiring additional financial resources beyond initial cost estimates and budget planning calculations. Currency fluctuation effects on pet import costs involve monitoring exchange rates with dedication typically reserved for professional financial trading, while managing expenses calculated in multiple currencies through cost management that would challenge most international business expense coordination and requires financial expertise exceeding most household budget management experience. Housing considerations, pet real estate requirements. Pet-friendly housing searches in Israel involve rental market navigation that reveals Israeli landlord attitudes toward pets, apparently assume animals represent property damage risks comparable to small-scale natural disasters, while pet deposits and restrictions create housing cost increases that exceed most rental market premium pricing for luxury amenities and location preferences. Rental market pet policies involve negotiations that apparently require diplomatic skills for convincing landlords that well-behaved pets won't destroy property, disturb neighbors, or somehow compromise building structural integrity through normal pet behavior, while rental agreements include pet clauses more comprehensive than most commercial lease contracts and require legal interpretation for understanding pet ownership obligations. Pet deposit calculations involve additional costs that suggest landlords believe pets require financial protection comparable to commercial property damage insurance, while rental restrictions on pet types, sizes, and behaviors create housing search challenges that eliminate most rental options and require searching specifically for pet-tolerant landlords who apparently represent rare and valuable residential market segments. Housing feature requirements for pets include outdoor access, appropriate exercise space, and proximity to veterinary services through location selection that prioritizes pet needs alongside human housing requirements while considering Israeli urban planning that may not accommodate pet ownership convenience and lifestyle needs that affect daily pet care routines and family quality of life. Community pet acceptance involves neighborhood integration where pet ownership may be less common or culturally accepted than in previous residential experiences, requiring social navigation and neighbor relationship development that addresses varying attitudes toward animals while maintaining appropriate pet behavior standards that satisfy community expectations and social integration requirements. Building regulation compliance may restrict pet ownership, impose size limitations, or require additional insurance coverage through apartment complex rules that apparently treat pets like potential liability risks, requiring additional legal protection and administrative compliance that exceeds most rental agreement complexity and requires ongoing attention to building policy compliance. Garden and outdoor space considerations become particularly important for dogs requiring exercise, while Israeli climate conditions affect outdoor activities and may require seasonal activity adjustment through housing selection that provides appropriate outdoor access and environmental comfort for pets adapting to Mediterranean climate conditions and urban living environments. Veterinary care in Israel, medical system navigation for furry patients. Israeli veterinary care provides modern medical services through healthcare systems that operate according to different cultural approaches, cost structures, and service availability than previous veterinary experience, while requiring establishment of new healthcare relationships for imported pets with existing medical conditions or ongoing care requirements. Veterinarian selection involves finding English-speaking providers who can communicate effectively about pet health while understanding Israeli veterinary practice approaches that may differ from previous veterinary care cultural expectations and treatment methodologies through healthcare relationship development that requires research and professional evaluation. Veterinary cost structures may involve different pricing approaches than previous veterinary experience, while services that were routine and affordable may become luxury expenses requiring budget adjustment and healthcare decision-making that balances optimal pet care with household financial constraints and competing family expense priorities. Emergency veterinary services require understanding after-hours care availability, clinic locations, and emergency procedures through healthcare system navigation that involves language barriers and cultural differences while ensuring access to urgent care during health crises that require immediate professional intervention and medical treatment. Prescription medication availability may differ from previous veterinary care, while chronic condition management requires coordination with Israeli veterinary providers for ensuring treatment continuity through healthcare transition that maintains pet health while adapting to different medication options and treatment approaches that may affect ongoing care costs and effectiveness. Pet insurance evaluation involves understanding Israeli coverage options, cost structures, and benefit levels that may differ significantly from previous insurance experience, while providing financial protection against veterinary expenses through coverage analysis that requires understanding policy details and cost-benefit calculations for ongoing healthcare expense management. Specialty veterinary services, including surgery, dental care, and specialist consultation, may require referrals and additional expense through healthcare navigation that involves understanding Israeli veterinary service networks while accessing advanced care that maintains pet health quality through specialized treatment that may exceed routine veterinary care costs. Climate adaptation. Mediterranean pet lifestyle adjustment. Israeli climate adaptation for pets involves environmental adjustment to Mediterranean weather patterns that may differ dramatically from previous climate experience while requiring behavior modification, exercise routine adjustment, and environmental protection that ensures pet comfort and health during seasonal temperature variations and weather extreme periods. Heat adaptation becomes crucial for pets accustomed to cooler climates through gradual acclimatization procedures that apparently require understanding animal physiology, environmental conditioning, and possibly meteorological expertise for managing pet comfort during summer temperatures that exceed most human comfort preferences and may pose health risks for pets with thick coats or heat sensitivity. Exercise routine modification requires scheduling adjustment for temperature extremes while maintaining pet physical fitness through activity planning that accommodates Israeli climate conditions and may require indoor alternatives during weather periods that prevent outdoor exercise and recreational activities that support pet mental and physical health. Environmental hazard awareness includes understanding plants, insects, and wildlife that pose risks to pets unfamiliar with Mediterranean environments while requiring education about regional dangers that could affect pet safety during outdoor activities and exploration of new residential environments and community areas. Water and humidity considerations affect pets adapting to different climate conditions while requiring attention to hydration needs and environmental comfort through household climate management that ensures pet health while managing electricity costs for climate control systems and environmental modification that supports successful climate adaptation. Indoor environment modification, including air conditioning, ventilation, and temperature control, becomes important for pet comfort during extreme weather, while requiring household climate management that balances pet needs with energy costs and environmental efficiency through home environment optimization that supports both human and pet comfort during climate adaptation. Seasonal behavior adjustment may be necessary for pets experiencing different weather patterns and daylight variations, while requiring understanding of animal behavior adaptation and environmental response that supports pet psychological health during climate transition and ongoing seasonal variation that affects pet activity levels and behavioral patterns. Cultural integration, pet social navigation, pet ownership. Cultural integration involves understanding Israeli attitudes toward animals that may differ from previous cultural experience while requiring social navigation and community relationship development that addresses varying cultural approaches to human-animal relationships and pet ownership responsibilities within different community contexts. Public space etiquette requires understanding Israeli regulations and cultural expectations for pet behavior in community areas, while compliance with leash laws, waste management, and public space access involves cultural education that may differ from previous social expectations and require behavior modification for both pets and owners. Social integration opportunities through pet ownership may include dog parks, pet owner communities, and animal-related activities that provide cultural connection while offering opportunities for relationship development and community participation through shared pet ownership experiences that support broader social integration and cultural adaptation. Neighbor relationship management requires sensitivity to varying attitudes toward pets while maintaining appropriate pet behavior standards and addressing noise concerns through community relationship development that balances pet ownership rights with neighbor comfort and community harmony that supports successful residential integration. Religious and cultural sensitivity within various Israeli communities may affect attitudes toward pets, while requiring awareness of religious considerations and community norms that could affect pet ownership acceptance and community integration through cultural adaptation that respects diverse community values and expectations. Community service opportunities through pet therapy, animal welfare volunteering, or pet-related community activities provide meaningful ways to contribute to Israeli society while building relationships and cultural connections through shared animal care interests that support community integration and social relationship development. Pet service availability, including grooming, boarding, training, and supply stores, requires familiarization with local businesses while adapting to different service approaches and cost structures that may differ from previous pet care service experience through business relationship development and service provider evaluation. The ultimate pet relocation reality reveals that successful animal immigration requires developing veterinary healthcare expertise that would qualify pet owners for veterinary technician careers, bureaucratic navigation skills that exceed most professional administrative training, and psychological resilience for maintaining both human and animal family stability during immigration procedures that test patience and problem-solving capabilities beyond most crisis management training, while ensuring beloved family pets successfully integrate into Israeli society alongside their human families. This magnificent pet immigration adventure ensures that by completion, families will have developed international animal transportation expertise that qualifies them for consulting with professional pet relocation services, veterinary healthcare coordination abilities that exceed most pet owner knowledge, and the appreciation that successful pet integration represents ongoing commitment to animal welfare that continues throughout extended residence in Israel, while maintaining family relationships that include beloved furry family members who adapt to Israeli life alongside their human companions. The pet relocation process transforms ordinary pet owners into international animal logistics specialists who can navigate complex regulatory systems while maintaining animal welfare, coordinate healthcare across international boundaries while ensuring medical continuity, and provide cultural adaptation support for both human and animal family members during immigration experiences that test family resilience and problem-solving capabilities, while preserving family bonds that include cherished pets who become Israeli residents alongside their devoted human families.